Oh boy, here we go again. Let's talk about it after this transition. So, what's going on, DC fans? I feel like more and more things keep coming out about the DC universe and things that have happened in the past more than things that are happening in the future. And of course, I've made a couple of videos. Last one I did was about the Batman, and the one before that was talking about how Warner Brothers is ruining the DC universe and their movies in general, and how they have ruined them in the past. And one of those reasons was bringing in Joss Whedon to finish Zack Snyder's Justice League. And a lot of things have come out, and yes, Joss Whedon has decided that he wanted to come out of the woodworks to actually say some things and defend himself for things that have been said about him, especially from actors Ray Fisher and Gal Gadot. And a lot of things have come out, and of course you probably know about them, and you've clicked on this video, so obviously you're wondering, what does this guy have to say now? And honestly, it's not anything that makes him look good. And I don't like to sit here on this channel and it be like a hate fest or anything like that. I appreciate things that Joss Whedon has done in the past. I enjoyed Firefly. I love the Avengers. And Avengers Age of Ultron, yeah, I could do that. Movie's okay, but there's a reason why they moved on from Joss Whedon directing the Avengers movies in the future. And things that have come out about Joss Whedon, not only from the camp of people that worked with him in DC, but also people that have worked with him in the past in Marvel. And one of the big two that have come out to talk about, things regarding Joss Whedon are Ray Fisher and Gal Gadot. The most recent one actually being Ben Affleck saying that, working on the Justice League reshoots in 2017 was the reason why he does not want to play Batman anymore. It ruined the experience and the character for him. So if you want to blame somebody for making Ben Affleck not Batman anymore, Joss Whedon is your guy. But I've got things that I have written down here from an article that came out where they interviewed Joss Whedon, and he had a few things to say. We're going to do it by person. I'm going to start with Ray Fisher, and then we're going to go into Gal Gadot, because I feel like the Gal Gadot one requires a little bit more talking about. So when we're talking about Ray Fisher, one of the big problems with the original theatrical cut of Justice League is it felt like Cyborg was almost completely written out. His character really had no use in the movie. And a lot of people were like, what is really going on with this character here? It feels like there's something left out. And that was only further fueled by Zack Snyder saying that he was the heart and soul of the original concept of what the movie would be. And then when we got the Snyder cut, we found that to be true. But if you ask Joss Whedon how he felt about Cyborg and Ray Fisher as an actor, he had things to say like this. The two reasons why he cut Cyborg's story were, logically, it made no sense, and his acting, he felt, was bad. Now let's talk about that for a second, because if you have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, I don't think I have to tell you that that almost seems impossible for a guy who works in that industry to actually look at that and go, that is bad. That makes no sense. It almost makes you seem incompetent. How can you look at a story like that, something that we did get to see play out in film eventually in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but how do you see something like that? Regardless if maybe a few things were tweaked in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the fact is that was still there in writing with notes, and a character was built with Ray Fisher and Zack Snyder. How did you not see that? It almost feels impossible for you to see that and go, that makes no sense. So I really feel like that if you are Joss Whedon and you see that, you got to be like, Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That's a good point. It was an integral part to the story that you completely cut out. So I don't know how he can actually believe that. And when it comes to the allegations that Ray Fisher basically staked his career on trying to get the truth out there about his experience on Justice League and with Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon, of course, comes out and says no claims are true. And when talking about Ray Fisher and why would he say these kinds of things, he says, we're talking about a malevolent force and we're talking about a bad actor in both senses. Look, again, if you've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, you know that that was actually the one thing leaving that movie where we were all like, wow, how was that cut out? And how could you view that as bad acting? That was one of the best things coming out of that movie. And now we don't get Ray Fisher because we're going to talk about Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers, again, like I have said, is ruining the DC universe. And one of those was bringing in Joss Whedon and siding with Joss Whedon, and now no longer having Ray Fisher as Cyborg in their universe when Ray Fisher is Cyborg. It makes no sense. But that's not the only person he talked about. He talked about Gal Gadot, and this is the one where it's just like, dude, what are you doing? You need to stop, because this is ridiculous. At this point, of course, Gal Gadot has come out and said things like he tried to threaten my career and said that he would ruin my career and things like that. And of course, it has been documented that, yeah, that was put out there and things were said, and it did go up to higher management that they did talk about these kinds of things. And what did he have to say about that? He goes, I don't threaten people. Who would do that? I literally cannot believe this guy. You know, Joss Whedon, like, we know some things happen like that. You don't have to come out and keep, when people corroborate these things and you're the only person saying it didn't happen, it makes you look bad. You already look bad. You're making yourself look worse. Honestly, I can't believe that you actually took this interview because you know people were going to keep asking you about that. And that's not even the worst part of it. There was apparently some translation issues that he was talking about. And when he said this, you're not going to believe it. English is not her first language, and I tend to get flowery in my speech. So he's insinuating that things that he said towards Gal Gadot were not heard correctly because English is not her first language. That would actually be the first time I have ever heard that, Joss Whedon. You're telling me somebody who worked in Fast and Furious movies, but also worked with Patty Jenkins on Wonder Woman and carried that movie, by the way. And then you have Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you also have the original cut of Justice League with things filmed by Zack Snyder and Batman versus Superman. And you're going to tell me that nobody else has complained that she was hard to direct because English was not her first language. But for you, it was. Is English your first language? Maybe you don't understand, or maybe you do understand and you're saying these things because you're trying to cover your ass. It does not work. It is not going to work. You're an asshole. They think you're an asshole, and everybody knows it. There's a reason why you're dying in the industry and not the same guy that you were when you were making blockbusters like The Avengers. And I hate having this kind of language and doing that stuff, but these things really piss me off because the DCEU, I cannot wait for the management that actually heard all this stuff and let it go on and has tried to cover it up and sided with Joss Whedon to finally get thrown out in Discovery, to finally weed all of the cancers that are in the DC front office. And Joss Whedon, the people siding with him, I can't wait for them to be gone as well, because not only did he ruin the movie that Zack Snyder was trying to make, he also ruined a lot of those actors' experiences and actually wanting to play these characters that we love so much. And that is all I gotta say on Joss Whedon. If you have a different opinion, let me know down below. Obviously, this is MetaGeek. I am Jake, the MetaGeek. 2022 is the year of the MetaGeek. Join the Meta Mafia. Obviously, I have videos come out all the time. I've decided that instead of working on a film essay of the Spider-Man Sam Raimi movies, I'm going to do something that, maybe isn't touched upon as much as those. I'm going to go and actually do the Dark Knight movies, the Batman trilogy by Christopher Nolan. Another trilogy that I love a lot, especially when it comes to it. We're going to do it and how I think it shaped modern DC, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Again, hit subscribe, join the Meta Mafia. 2022, the year of the Meta Geek. I have been Jake, and I will see all of you geeks next time.